Jumping Jesus on a pogo stick, it's time for full disclosure.
Full disclosure, news and commentary number 54, 54, 54, 54, 54, Sweat. It's hot in here, baby. It's hot. It's Florida. Hey, welcome to Full Disclosure 54. Veronica being crazy. Here with the kids. They're doing their thing. I'm going to do my thing. It's Tuesday. I need to knock this thing out and get it out. Yesterday, I'll just be honest, I was having too much fun with the kids. We've started doing this class together, which is a lot of fun. And then that got us watching a bunch of comedy stuff. And one thing led to another. And then we're playing the Jackbox games and all that stuff. So sorry that takes priority, but I'm getting this done today. With that said, I have a number of things planned. It's all right. It's all right. Let her do her thing. Who am I? We do have a full disclosure. I have been forgetting to do unboxings. So I made sure I leaned this thing against my leg to the point where it would bother me. I'm sitting on the floor as a reminder to get all this stuff done as well. I'm still knocking out videos, parts of the video for the Welcome to Orlando thing that I'm doing. We did Butterbeer yesterday. Today we are going to do, remind me? Dole Whip. Dole Whip. We got to do Dole Whip. And Dole Whip is something that you used to be able to get only at the Polynesian.
Okay, so I, as an expert at eating Dole Whip, so you can
come here, bro. Okay. Come here, bro. If you're gonna talk it. So you could get Dole Whip at the Polynesian. Where else?
Dole Whip. So Dole Whip, there's a stand at the Polynesian, and then I believe there's one at almost every Orlando Disney park except for Hollywood Studios. You can get it at Magic Kingdom and that place by the mountains.
Okay.
And then you could get it at Animal Kingdom, I think.
Mm-hmm. Could you get it at Disney Springs as well, I believe?
I do not know.
I think so. I think that's right. But in any case, at one point, you could get Dole Whip at the Twisty Treats around as well. But Disney apparently released the Dole Whip recipe so people could make it during this time. So that's what we're making. I've frozen pineapple. And that's part of it, and we're going to blend it up and make it happen. Now, right now, it's been fun, right? Because we had Butterbeer on Monday. Today, we're going to have Dole Whip. But we'll see how the kids feel when they have to get into a giant inflatable unicorn and get pushed down the stairs while I throw water at them.
Yes. Wait.
They act like they're real happy about that, but we'll see. We'll see.
Real happy. Wait.
In any case, I got to do this unboxing, bro. I got to do this unboxing. So get to it.
On to more Butterbeer.
Did I thank all the people? Oh, yeah. Gosh, I don't even remember. Brett, Brian, Dan, Derek, Diana, Jeffrey, Joseph Black, Larry, not that one, the other one, Logan, Proc the Croc, Rob Rod, Southern Honor, and Double Dropkick, and a special thanks to the four giving the most money. That would be Dynamite Soul, Viral Pro Wrestling Transcendent, the tag team, and the OG Myron. We're going to do this unboxing. You pull it out so I don't see it. Is it a shirt?
Of course it is.
It's cloth.
It always is.
It says Blissful Sunshine Cap.
Blissful Sunshine Tap. What is that?
Maybe it's a yoga thing.
Maybe it's a yoga thing.
Well,
You unbox that. I'm going to set up a couple other things happening this week. So,
Whoa.
put you in. Oh, is it? It's like a. It's not a shirt at all.
It's like
It's a tapestry.
What's a tapestry?
A thing that you hang up. So hang that on the couch behind us.
Yeah.
We had okay.
Oh,
you talk about stuff while we.
This might be somebody wanting a new background, which I'm all about. Dude, that looks slick.
Tapestry.
Slick.
It looks like
Oh, put the sun right behind my head. Oh, love it. Thank you.
The sun.
To people who keep sending stuff, Irving West sent a shirt that I had a part of my last video that I did. Much appreciated. I still love that people are sending stuff. That reminds me, I haven't checked the P.O. box in a few days. Maybe that's an errand that we can take as long as you guys kind of stay in the car. But anyway, let me get to this video. So, big wrestling news stories. Or wrestling related news stories, right? XFL, the football league, went bankrupt. Bankrupt, and they're done, and there's nothing to gloat over on that. It is what it is. History is going to remember it a certain way. Most wrestling fans will remember that, oh, this time it seemed like it was really making it. Goofers here. It was really making it this time. The truth was the ratings were beginning to drop. Now, it's not as badly as they did during its first run, but we were only halfway through the season, and it did not show signs that it was going to go better. Though, it's interesting to note that if the playoff games were going to take place, that they were going to take place right around now, and then the week after was going to be the championship game. Now we'll never know. And it looks like it's never coming back. And if you think it's coming back, you're crazy. They filed bankruptcy. They got rid of everybody. Neither one of those is good signs of anything. It's just a matter of skirting out and cutting their losses where they can. A couple of interesting things that I found that I didn't hear anybody else talk about. One of them was it got revealed who had stock. And after saying that the WWE wasn't involved in any way, shape, or form, it turns out they owned about a fourth of the B stock. Which, again, that doesn't, to most people, that doesn't seem like a big deal. To me, it's definitely a skirting of the truth of the WWE is involved financially, any way, shape, or form. It had always been no. And it turns out that wasn't completely true. Is that the biggest deal? No. But I think it's noteworthy that, plus, if you look at who a lot of the people, the major investors were, they were the coaches and things like that. Really weird. Really weird. I think it's sad the XFL is gone. But, uh-oh, you hear that? You guys hear that?
Yes. It's our national anthem.
All right. I have cash there on the table in the wallet. Take cash, grab stuff for yourself, and then pick something that I will eat on the air.
Squid, get
It's the ice cream truck. It's the little things. Hear that? Da-na-na-na-na-na-na. Be careful, 6 feet away, etc., etc.
Get the cash. Get the cash.
Where's the cash? Where's the cash?
Dude, it's in my wallet here on the table. Go.
This is an emergency.
All right. Sorry. So that stuff's really interesting to me. And I like looking for the different angles on stories. So another one is that the WWE was declared an essential business here in Florida, which shouldn't shock anybody. Florida is handling this whole thing so ass backwards and so weird that this does not shock me. Close the door. Thank you. So, what's the angle on the story that I find interesting? Does this mean that AEW can petition itself as an essential business? Now, indies around the country might be clamoring, like, well, why can't we be essential? But they're no comparison to them in the WWE. But AEW, we have a national show. We're doing a pro wrestling show. If the premise that the WWE is going under is providing entertainment for the people is a big part of our business, and it's really important to the American psyche and all the rest of that horseshit, AEW can certainly make a case for itself. I'll be interested to see if they do. By the way, the commentary is about leading and how I don't think it's fucking happening in Georgia wrestling, by and large. Ouch. Cool. Okay. There's been a number of things going around the internet. And most people who know me know I don't generally participate in them. What kind of hobbit are you? Or what house of fucking are you Slytherin? I normally don't do those things. I don't have them on Facebook. But I decided instead of doing them on Facebook, I would share a bunch of them here. Why the fuck not? God, I love this tapestry. Who sent me this? Please let me know. I think it's dope. It's really great. It's really wonderful. It's really nice. Thoughtful. Yeah. Uh, by the way, Easter just happened. Of course, I did the Easter. If you didn't look at the Ultimate Easter Championship thing, it's really about my kids, and they wrote all those lines, all those diss lines against each other, setting up the fight. They worked together to gather all those Easter eggs. It ended up being this big, arduous thing because I hid the Easter eggs all up and down the staircase in the hallway upstairs, and in the inside of this like pull open closet that I have in the hallway. That's not that big of a deal, right, Steve? It is, because the kids couldn't see what they were doing. They had to feel their way around and work together. I know. It's like, Steve, you don't have to turn everything into a teaching exercise. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And they were really great. And the video turned out great. Please look at it. But I was going to put this, which is my favorite picture ever of Easter, Easter related. I challenge you, outside world. Do you have a better Easter picture related to you or your family than this? Doubt it. That's young Elena, and just a favorite. I used to have it on my MySpace page. What? We're old. And I used to put on the caption, Elena is afraid of Easters. And it's just baby Elena looking like, what is this Easter crap? Good luck getting Elena in an outfit like that now. Not going to happen. Sweet. So another thing that's going around is people putting up pictures of their high school, of them graduating, the year that they graduated, as sort of an acknowledgement that they're not going to get graduations this year. They're not going to get a formal ceremony. They're probably not going to get to walk that aisle and get their name called out and all that stuff, at least not in the regular capacity that we know it. And a lot of people I saw recently have been sort of bitching and going like, how does this help to put your high school picture up? Absolutely right. How does it help to put your picture up? But fuck, it's a thing that's caught on, and I would like to believe that most people doing the gesture are doing it in some kind of sense of like, cool, and getting to show old pictures is just fun. It can be really fun and nice. So somebody asked me recently if I would do it. Now, the school that I went to, we didn't do cap and gown for graduation. The women wore these sort of like frilly white dresses, really formal ones, very Hawaii style. And the boys are expected to wear suits. And so here's me, my graduation suit. Mm-hmm. Nuts. All right, children.
Yes.
What did you get me? Go, V. I'm excited. Gonna bust the diet. What did I make them for lunch today? What did I make you guys for lunch today?
Bacon pancakes.
Bacon pancakes.
Here you go.
We shall see. It is hot as blazes, is it not? You got mango. Course. What did you get?
Watermelon crybaby sour ice.
Watermelon crybaby sour ice. Cool. Was it the usual guy? Was it Al?
Yeah.
Is Al? Al's our ice cream truck guy. Really great guy. Watermelon bomb pop with the candy seeds.
One time he came at 9 o'clock. True story.
How come at night? Have a seat. Al's a hustler, and I love him. And in fact, most everybody in the complex has his number. I have townhouses and apartments, and if enough people ask him to come, he'll come, no matter what time, day or night. So sometimes he does. He comes here at night because people smoke and, you know, they get hungry. Pretty awesome, right? Jealous? Should be.
Unless you live here.
Sweet. So that was my high school picture. Kids, do you want to see my high school picture? Full disclosure. Here is my high school picture.
Seeing old photos of your parents is like seeing your teachers outside of school. It's like a little weird.
Look at me. Look at that little smarmy face of mine. Dang.
This reminds me of the song Glasses. What the bloody ads of your parents' picture when they were cool.
That was actually apropos. When they were cool. Psh. All right.
Yep, you cool now.
Thanks, bro. Got the endorsement. First wrestling gimmick that Jeff G. Bailey proposed. What was the first wrestling gimmick? I had a backyard gimmick. A few of them. The one I remember the most was called Slaughterhouse Hank, where I would wear my plastic glow-in-the-dark hockey mask, a la Jason Voorhees. I would wear flannel shirt because it wasn't hot enough in Hawaii. And then I would bring to our makeshift ring made out of like garden hose ropes with some padding on the ground. I would bring a set of rusty golf clubs and hit people with that. That was my shtick. Pretty awesome. But, of course, my first wrestling gimmick is the one that I kept for my whole career. I should have changed it. I should have tried to be face at some point. I didn't have the confidence to do that. Wish I did it now. But I was the lethal litigator, the most dangerous lawyer on the country, who the people that I worked with tended to call me Double L. And here's a picture of that. Nice, right? Yeah, it was cool. That's a picture of me hitting Ringside Ryan, who is known as Ringside Ryan Andrews, in Colorado. Then he went to California, worked for XPW as GQ Money, did the ring announcing and some creative stuff and post-production stuff, I'm sure, for Wrestling Society X, remember that? And then did motion capture for like WWF/E video games. And then, through his talent and guile and hustle, now he's at NXT, helping them out over there, doing production stuff. Smart cat, right? Weird how this business works. But wait, that's not all. Another great thing that was proposed, what are your 4 non-wrestler influences on your wrestling career? I've got 4, and they're really weird. But they are really real. These are the 4 influences. The first one, I'll just put these pictures. First one, let me see, which one do I want to start with? This one, because it's weird. That's John Milton. John Milton, who wrote Paradise Lost. I guess I could have put up a representation of one of the versions of Satan or the devil that he had in Paradise Lost, because for those who don't know the story of Paradise Lost, go read Paradise Lost, first of all. But for those who don't know the story, the basic premise is, at one point, the different versions of Satan or devils are trying to decide what to do to get back at God for being basically excised to hell. And there's a number of different theories on what they should do. We should just round everybody out and go attack. And then people are like, that's not going to work, right? We should just lay low and be glad that we're here in hell, right? Better to serve in hell, or better to rule in hell than to serve in heaven, as one of the devils argues. I didn't know that was from Paradise Lost, Steve. Read Paradise Lost. It's really great. And then the one who wins the argument basically goes the route that they're going to go. We'll be sneaky. He loves people. We're going to go and corrupt people, and we're going to hurt him that way. Yeah. Anyway, I just the idea that evil, or at least not God, could take many different forms, and the the different ways that you could attack, and the sort of the brilliance of Milton and how he saw the world. A lot of people have misinterpreted Milton, and it's understandable because it's very complex and very interesting. In fact, Milton's going to find his way into my commentary. But John Milton's one of them. Next influence, Don Rickles. Do you know who Don Rickles is, Veronica?
No, but I like the last name.
Rickles, right? It's pretty awesome. Don Rickles, an insult comedian is probably too simple to call him that, but he was really rowdy at a time where almost nobody was. It was him and Joan Rivers were the two that were really out there at a time where it was like the Bob Hope era, and Don Rickles and Joan Rivers were the two that were just really outrageous, right? Don't mess with Rivers. Why?
The flow is too relentless. I haven't saw celebrities this bad since The Apprentice. I'm close in this saddle. No one else compares. The only place I'm in the middle is on Hollywood Square.
So my kids know Joan Rivers, yes. Thanks to Epic Rap Battles in History is one of those things that I told you should watch. So Joan Rivers and Don Rickles. But there's something else I really liked about Don Rickles is he was allowed to get away with a lot. And I think I wanted to be that way too. Because recently, a discussion has come up, right? Like Jacob Ashworth did this thing where he supported that NASCAR driver guy, and it's like, he shouldn't be fired, and it started this whole debate, and then Amy Haven said, like, there should be zero tolerance for racism or homophobia, so he blocked her, and now there's all this thing about, like, Jacob Ashworth should have known to keep his mouth shut, and blah, blah, blah. Was he right? Was he wrong? First, let's clear up a couple things. Again, this is my rant, my opinion. So the driver in question, it wasn't minor, right? When you drop the N-word a couple of times, now you didn't intend for a lot of people to hear it, but they did. Should he be fired and never be allowed to make a living again in that particular activity? Probably not. I think that's probably an overreach. Also depends on how the guy reacts to it, of course. And was Jacob Ashworth, does he have the right to take up for the guy? Sure. Is it probably a smart thing to do? Is Jacob Ashworth understand that it coming from his mouth, a defense is less of a defense and more another indication of a guy who's pretty tone deaf about how he is perceived? Yeah. But do I think Jacob Ashworth is wrong for saying it? No. Do I think Amy Haven was wrong for saying there should be zero tolerance for whatever? No, because that's how she feels as well. And him blocking her does feel like kind of a weak move. Though I'm curious why they were friends to begin with. It was probably during Jacob Ashworth's attempt to reconcile and attempt to get booked everywhere. So everything in that story just stinks like yesterday's garbage. But that's my opinion. Don Rickles, I loved him. It was said that he was the only guy who could make fun of Frank Sinatra and get away with it. And I believe it. He was certainly the only guy who could make fun of Frank Sinatra to Sinatra's face and get away with it. And I always wanted an element of that guy. I always wanted to be that guy. And I certainly wanted Lethal Litigator to reflect that. And I think I lived up to that pretty well. And probably kept a lot of that when I was Stephen Platinum. The guys could tell you stories about the jokes that I used to tell in the locker room. And it would drop your jaw. Number 3, Professor Gill. Boop. Professor Gill, of the show that I grew up loving, Kikaider, which at some point when I can figure it out, I'm going to go through those things episode by episode. I got so many projects I'm interested in and I'm doing, and I'm just going to keep that going, by the way. That's how I do. Professor Gill was the antagonist of Kikaider, the hero. I loved the idea of Professor Gill. I loved his obvious influence from Yagyu of Lone Wolf and Cub fame, my favorite comic. But Professor Gill, he had kind of a singularity of thought. And that's what I wanted Lethal Litigator to have. Where even at his own peril, he just had his goal and he was going to keep going for it in the same way repeatedly if possible. See, nowadays, guys want to reinvent the wheel at every show, but back when I was working, I was interested in sort of retelling the same tale, if I'm being honest. I knew that that's how I was going to get booked. I was the guy, please quit tapping the table with your foot, you're shaking everything. I was the guy who was going to get heat, then pay for it, get beat up at the end, and then have to get my heat all over again. And I was okay with doing it. I think it made me a very good performer, a very good promo cutter, a very good physical performer with facial expressions and sells. And the bumps that I used to take would freaking kill a lot of guys nowadays. And I can still walk around and I'm still in good shape. So, yeah, Professor Gill. I was comfortable with the routine of him, plus the sort of bombacity of him. I thought it was really great. Cool. And then my fourth is, and this one's going to weird you out the most and maybe disappoint some of you. Oh, well. Wile E. Coyote. What?
A cartoon character.
A cartoon character, right.
Who says that cartoon characters are bad for your brains, am I right?
Right. Well, why Wile E. Coyote? Because I was always determined to be the heel, and there was a bit of comedy about me, and I was hapless, and I paid a huge physical price as a way of showing. All that's Wile E. Coyote. But here's the real reason Wile E. Coyote. All right, I stumbled upon this a long time ago, that there were 9 rules of Wile E. Coyote, according to Mel Blanc, according to the creators. That they had these 9 rules, and I thought that they were so cool. Rule number 1, the Roadrunner cannot harm the coyote except by going beep beep. And I always had that rule that sounds crazy, right? But my thing was I never wanted the baby face had to slip into the heel realm. I always wanted them to remain a baby face. I didn't want them to do stuff to me that was above and beyond what I deserved, because I wanted to keep their faceness intact, if that makes sense. Rule number 2, no outside force can harm the coyote. Only his own ineptitude or the failure of the Acme products. Right? And for me, it was no outside. It should be my own bad decisions coupled with the baby face are the only thing that harm me. I didn't want baby face power brokers coming and like reversing decisions or making, the old weak thing of like the baby face with power coming in and going like, well, we're going to put you guys in a cage. It was always me talking myself into trouble. Like one of the bigger matches that I ever did was the Navy SEAL boot camp death match. And it was a match that basically I made for myself on a promo, thinking nobody would take me up on it, and then the big badass takes me up on it. It's my fault that I got into all these situations. It's my fault when I would claim that whoever the big name that we hired wasn't there at the show. That was a shtick that I did again and again and again. Roddy Piper isn't here. And then a limo would show up and I would act freaked and I would go, and then it would be 2 midgets dressed as Piper, and then they would beat me up, and then Piper would get me later on, right? It was also always my big mouth that got myself into trouble. Never an outside babyface power broker, Deus Ex Machina, or none of that nonsense. It was me, myself, and my big mouth that got me into trouble. Rule number 3, the coyote could stop any time if he were not a fanatic. Repeat, a fanatic is one who redoubles his effort when he has forgotten his aim. Wow. Let me repeat that. What is a fanatic? A fanatic is one who redoubles his effort when he has forgotten his aim, right? In other words, logically, the coyote should just stop going after the Roadrunner, right? What does he want from the Roadrunner? Food? Then go get the food, right? It's cheaper than getting a giant anvil and a cannon and all the rest of it. But he's a fanatic. He keeps redoubling his effort because he forgot the original point of trying to get the Roadrunner in the first place. And that's why I wanted Lethal Litigator to be, right? He just keeps redoubling his effort. So last time I got beat up by somebody, by Tempest, this woman. I got fire thrown in my face. I fell off and then I landed through tables from 15 feet in the air. What happens next show? I keep trying to get at her. right? Because I forgot the whole purpose in the first place was just so I could shoot off my mouth. Well, what does it serve for me to keep going after her after I've been crushed? Because I'm a fanatic, right? Rule number 4, no dialogue ever except beep beep. This didn't really factor into my character except that the dialogue is me. Me and the babyface. But then I would often, the babyface wouldn't have to talk. I would wrestle Jake Roberts and I would cut sometimes 10-minute long promos, and then he would cut a 2-line promo. It was always like I never wanted the babyface to have to do very much because it would be self-evident. We just want you to beat this guy. And then that's what would happen. Rule number 5, the Roadrunner must stay on the road. Otherwise, logically, he would not be called the Roadrunner. Oh, that makes sense. Again, my whole thing was the babyface has to be the babyface. I didn't want this thing where the waters would get muddied. I wanted the babyface, even if they were a hardcore icon, even if they were someone with a dirty past like Jake, even if they were whomever, I wanted them to be the babyface. I wanted them to stay on that road, and I was going to be the heel. I didn't want the waters to be muddied. I didn't want people to root for me, and I fought against that tooth and nail. Rule number 6, all action must be confined to the natural environment of the two characters, the Southwest American desert. Makes sense, and for me it was, all action must be, it must take place in the arena where the crowd could see it. I never did a thing where I fought outside of the building. I always think that that's really stupid. Now, you can have times where it can work. Obviously, Huck and Joe definitely worked, but they had a whole thing set up for that. I was just a big fan of, I wanted as many people to see what we were doing as possible, which is why I would do balcony falls. Everybody could see it happen. They didn't have to get out of their seat and rush over to see it. Yep. Rule number 7, all materials, tools, weapons, or mechanical conveniences must be obtained from the Acme Corporation, right? Yeah, and I was a big believer in that in the sense that it's like everything I used was stuff that was self-evident. I never did the pull things out from under the ring thing. I always think that that's a really dumb convention. If I was going to use tables, then we would use the commentator's table and announcer's table. If we were going to have multiple tables used, then I would bring them to the ring with me as an insistence that I'm going to use this. I still think it looks incredibly stupid when wrestlers pull things out from underneath the ring. It looks dumb. And I think it further just highlights the fact that this is bogus and this is fake. And I was never a believer in that. If something was going to be used, I was a big believer of that old theater thing, right? I'd bring out the loaded gun, and then I'd make sure it would get fired by the end of the thing, right? I bring out the table so they can anticipate, oh boy, how's this going to get used? And then we would use it in the most interesting way possible after building it and teasing it. Rule number 8, whenever possible, make gravity the coyote's greatest enemy, right? When you think of Wile E. Coyote, you think of him running in the air, realizing he's in trouble, holding up the sign that says yipe, and falling. And gravity was certainly my greatest enemy. I fell through a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. That's the Wile E. Coyote influence as well. Rule number 9, and this one was really important. The coyote is always more humiliated than harmed by his failures. And that was me too. I mean, my best memories are people chanting litigator's dead after I would take a huge bump. I wanted people to go like, man, and I would give everything. Even in Georgia, when I had to replace Rick Michaels in the War Games for MGCW, I gave it all. Like, not only was I, at the end of that thing, defeated, and I'm the one who tapped out, but I made sure my pants fell down and I tripped over them. When I was a heel, I gave everything. When I got my head shaved, you give everything. That's what it's all about. That's Wile E. Coyote, and that was Lethal Litigator, and even Stephen Platinum as a heel as well. Phew!
Kind of thought you said that because you were secretly a cartoon character.
Secretly a cartoon character. Wrestlers are cartoon characters.
What?
Rant. Ronda Rousey got into a little bit of trouble when she said, these fans are so ungrateful. And, I mean, wrestling is what wrestling is, but come on, if you got into a legitimate fight 300 times a year, as wrestlers do, and she acknowledged wrestlers do have, they do take physical punishment on their bodies because they're falling down and taking all the bumps and all that stuff. She goes, but it's not real. If it was real and you got into 300 fights a year, you'd be dead. She's not wrong. And Huckabee saying, well, I've gotten into 300 fights in a year and I was fine. Shut up, Huck. Shut up. It looks stupid. You didn't get in 300 hardcore competitive fights in a year. What are you talking about?
Tongue isn't even good.
Let's see your tongue, bro. Yeah, George Steele. Go enjoy your life. When you pay these physical prices, right, it's fine. It's part of what wrestling is. What I felt the most bad about in WrestleMania and all these empty arena shows is the guys having a bump cold. That's horrible. It's so tough. Yeah. I kind of forgot where I was going with this, if I'm being honest. But, like, by the way, the fact that Ronda Rousey could say that and people in the WWE could be so outraged, like, to me, it was such an obvious work. Just like The Rock saying, yeah, I watch AEW and I'm really rooting for them. It's such an obvious work. Why would Rock say that? To help his own price when he does appearances for the WWE? Is that not painfully obvious? And if I'm saying that and you're going, oh yeah, that's the first thing I thought of. Why do wrestling people look for conspiracies where there are none and create them out of whole cloth, but they can't ask themselves the simplest questions about anything wrestling related when it comes up? Why do they become suddenly stupid marks? Because they haven't learned to apply Occam's razor. What is Occam's razor? The philosophical concept that states, in essence, the simplest answer is usually the correct one. If more wrestling people applied Occam's razor to their ways of thinking and the things that they observe, they would be much better off, instead of applying wrestling logic and manifesting their own insecurities into really dumb things that they're saying. Let's just get to the commentary. Commentary, leading by example. I thought this thing was going to be short. We're already at 36 minutes. It is what it is. Hope you enjoyed spending this time with me. I enjoy doing it. First Milton quote of the two that I'm going to do. The mind is its own place, and in itself can make a heaven of hell or a hell of heaven. It sucks that we're all having to stay inside. It sucks that other people are put in harm's way in order to accomplish their jobs. It sucks further that people are trapped with their own thoughts. And that it sucks further that they're allowed to express those addled thoughts in public, online. I'm not saying any of those things should be removed in their entirety necessarily, but that's where we are, right? Who's making a heaven out of hell? Not many. Who's making a hell out of heaven? Who's basically turning their back on the good fortune? A lot of people. Especially people who are in a leadership role in Georgia wrestling. And when I say leadership role, I mean promoters. I mean bookers. I mean influencers. People with great sway. And wrestlers that have a lot of influence over other wrestlers. By and large, all of you are failing. Not because you have opinions that necessarily differ from mine, though many of you do. My God, many of you do. But because you're irresponsible and you're weak. And your weakness comes out of a desire to seem strong. And that makes it weaker still. Yep. Have a seat. Here's another quote. Never can true reconcilement grow where wounds of deadly hate have pierced so deep. So many of you are so scared, angry, frustrated, left to your own devices, that you're not only giving terrible advice, you're sowing the seeds of discontent with the people that listen to you and acknowledge you for no purpose whatsoever. As powerful as you are in your own little fiefdom, in your own little wrestling promotion amongst your fan base or whatever, you can't change the law. Well, I should be able to express, you can do a thing. This is not me saying you can't say something. But when you say something like, we should just open the state up and they should just let us do shows and they should just let everybody have... There is a level of ignorance there that I can't even wrap my mind around. Well, Steve, I'll debate you. You will lose. And you're idiots. Worse, you're letting down the people that trust you. You are sowing the seeds of discontent to no positive result. You saying some crap on Facebook about, we should just be able to run shows, not only makes you look ignorant, you have to understand, I'm in Florida. I'm in Dumbville, USA. Okay? Our governor is the dumbest one of the lot. Dumber than Alabama's governor. Think about that. Dumber than Georgia's governor, who is contending for the title, but then Florida always come through with the crazy and the stupid at the end of the day.
Florida man.
Florida man.
Dumb and proud of it.
Dumb and proud of it. Yes. Why, Georgia leaders, would you embody this in any way, shape, or form? We are stuck inside for a long time. Period. And I get that it's hard to feel so disempowered. Many people are losing their livelihood and tons of money. It doesn't help that the people who are advocating for, they should just let groups of people be together. When I say it like that, do you understand how dumb that sounds? Do you understand how irresponsible that is? Do you understand that not only are you putting people's lives at stake, and some of you would argue, it wouldn't be that bad. Mighty white of you, by the way, to be willing to put other people's safety, including the people that trust you. But just the lack of political savvy alone, of saying that publicly, knowing that your words can affect nothing except to sow the seeds of discontent and make people feel worse without any positive effect. Here's a thought. All of you who are super convinced that any kind of edict to stay at home does not need to be followed or is being overly burdened on us, or is some kind of giant conspiracy for the government to take power because, they're super thrilled with how things are going and the economy being ground down to a fucking halt. They're thrilled about it. What are you talking about? If so, then put your words into practice, leaders. Start doing what you want. Call for a gathering. But there's a part of you that won't do it. Thank goodness. And why? Either you're scared of the law, or you know that on some level that it's incredibly irresponsible to do so. Or you would be afraid of the consequences if something did go wrong. You can't on one hand say, Well, the most important thing is the safety of our fans and the wrestlers and making sure they don't get sick. And then say, on the other hand, it's time to just let us do it. And by and large, 4 out of 5 promoters in the state of Georgia are taking that position. So what does that mean when you say it's important for us to keep the wrestlers and the fans healthy and have them not get sick, but they should just let us do it and this is all bogus? So which one are you lying about? I would imagine the one where you said you were most concerned about the fans and the wrestlers. And that's bullshit. And you should be embarrassed of yourselves. Embarrassed of yourselves. Get your shit together. I know that you're compassionate men and women. I know that this is a tough time. And everybody from the ridiculous conspiracy theories that I'm reading and all of you people who are supposed to be the lights, right? Whether you claim God or you claim wokeness or you claim all these things. And why are you motherfuckers so miserable? And why are you determined to make everybody else miserable and sow the seeds of discontent instead of leading us through this thing? There's a handful of people that are. Well, Steve, talk about the positive. Nah, bro. Because those that are being positive, you know I'm going to talk about you at a future date. But this is me getting this message across. Fucking lead us. Because if you don't, what the good thing is, there are people that will lead. But the bad thing is, this whole time where wrestling shows aren't running and we're reading Facebook more than ever, there are more people. We talk about this constantly. Me and other people talk about this constantly behind the scenes. There are so many people that are doing themselves a huge disservice and have dropped in the eyes of most people, whether they realize it or not. And they can bluster and say, I don't care about how I look to the outside world. But these are the people that deep down, care about what other people think more than anybody else. And that's where all this insecurity and this manifestation of this macho bullshit and I'm John Wayne and I'm going to fix the world. But all you're doing is sowing the seeds of discontent like a whiny little bitch. And then you're going to wonder later on why there's going to be a part of you that people don't completely trust. Either because they think that you're disingenuous, a hypocrite, weak, or just somebody who would rather sow the seeds of discontent rather than lead and be a light for people. Be a light or turn your light out and get out of the way. Everybody stay safe and everybody stay healthy.
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands.
Kikaida.
I don't know why she said Kikaida. This has been Full Disclosure.